Hello and welcome to the Cube Talk Show, and my name is Joe Barbieri. I'm your host for this evening, and today this is the Money Show. We talk about all aspects of money, and we're going to be stretching the boundary today and going into abundance. Our guest today is Fatma Zaidi, and she's a money breakthrough coach, and the topic, as I've said, is abundance. So Fatma, how are you?
I am very good, very excited to be here and sharing my way of doing money.
Okay.
A new and different way, a playful and fun approach to money. And
So to start off, tell me a bit about yourself and your background, how you've come to this point.
I was born in East Africa, and I come from a poor background. My parents were, like when we were in Uganda actually, and there was a political upheaval, we went to live in Dar es Salaam, and we lived in the poorest section of Dar es Salaam with, in a storeroom with no washroom, no nothing, just one storeroom, 5 people. And so I have that kind of blueprint, but what I saw with my dad was that regardless of the situation, there was a lot of gratitude, and there was happiness, and there was the people around us in that poor quarter were very happy too. And so I remember a lot of joy, and I believe that it was that kind of attitude that actually helped us get from that poor quarter to Switzerland. Mm-hmm. So we moved from a really poor place to a wealth-conscious country. Mm-hmm. So I've seen like both aspects and experienced both aspects of wealth, abundance, money. And then I did a business diploma in Switzerland, and with my background, it was like, you had to get, the main thing about being a girl was to get married. That was the main aim. Yeah. And you just had to cook good food for your husband and get married and have children, and that was what you were here for. And so that is what I did. And a few years later, I realized that there was just something more, that I was here to do more. And I looked around, and there was this book that I found that fell into my hands on aromatherapy. Mm-hmm. And I knew that this is what I want, like I really wanted to do this. But at the same time, I have children, so I will have to wait many years until I can get to doing that. Yeah. But somehow, because it's your purpose and, the universe supports you, I ended up training to become an aromatherapist in England. It's about 19 years ago. And so that like really opened me up to the potential of what a difference we can make when we get in touch with our own gifts and what we are here to do. And I continued, like that was just the beginning. I continued training, and when we moved here, I also trained to become a nutritional consultant. I did extensive training in homeopathy and wellness, like many wellness modalities. Mm-hmm. And then as I was doing this, I was seeing this poverty consciousness in my clients. I can't afford it. I can't do the supplements. I don't have it. My husband won't give it to me. So they would be not well, and their husbands wouldn't give it to them, right? Like money to like pay for the supplements. Or they wanted it, but they, like it's too much. And so I knew that I had to work on this abundance consciousness. So I kept on telling them, one day I'm going to teach you this. Because although I grew up poor, we had this consciousness, right? Like that was in place. That the world, the universe is an abundant place, and, it's available to you. And so I, like organic food, for example, is expensive. But if you say that, it's not possible, then it's not going to be possible for you to have it. But if you say, I'll make it happen, okay, like this is what I want for myself, I want the best for myself, then it happens. And so when we came here, we were struggling. My husband is an architect and an engineer, but he started off in a call center. So we didn't have money.
Yeah.
And yet I bought organic food, right? And I remember my husband saying at that time, he's like, can't you go shop at No Frills? I'm like, no, I can't. I want organic food because I know it supports my well-being. And you know what? I made it happen. So we were there in that situation. And then he got a wonderful job and, things settled down, right? And the whole family was able to eat well, and we never went to the doctors because we were, in good shape.
Yeah.
And so I think it's that attitude of knowing that the universe has it for you and you have to be open to it. So, and then that's when I became a law of attraction coach. After that secret thing, it's when I said, let me use these principles to teach my clients. And that was like a turning point because I saw how powerful that work is, and I knew that I had to move more from just wellness, into coaching and helping people change their mindsets. So, and I am really glad I did, because I can, there is so much transformation that happens with the coaching, so many breakthroughs that we get, and it's changing lives. So
people like to say wealth is money.
Yeah.
Now, if that's true, then the billionaires would be happy and everything's wonderful.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like that's the truth. So
yes. So wealth.
So what do you say wealth would be?
Wealth,
then?
as I explained, is the wholeness of life. So relationships, it's the joy of daily living, your daily moments. It's nature. It is your family. It is the fun activities you do, everything. And yes, we do need money, but it's not, money doesn't buy happiness. Happiness brings in money.
Yeah.
So that is my approach. That let's work on being happy regardless of where you are financially. Get you in that space of really being grateful and realizing that even where you are, regardless of where you are, because we were living in the poorest sector of Dar es Salaam, but we were happy because we enjoyed life, right? And so let's get you happy where you are, because there is a lot of abundance exactly where you are, and let's start perceiving that. Let's start being grateful for that and getting you into this feel-good space, and then we get into helping you figure out how to bring in the money as well.
Okay, so we'll start with the feel-good space.
Yes, I love that.
I have a feeling people are having problems getting to that.
The feel-good space.
So when somebody's in front of you saying, I don't have this, I don't have that.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned gratitude, which I think is a big...
It's the number one.
So what's the first thing you start with to shift them?
Well, first is the awareness. We can't get anywhere without the realization that, oh my God, I haven't been doing it right. Whatever way I was thinking has gotten me here, and now something has to change. And usually they do come to me when they are at that point of despair.
Yeah.
I have done everything. I have tried what the books say. I have done these seminars, whatever, and I am not getting the results. I'm just stuck, right? And then that is where just one session with me and understanding how their thoughts are creating that creates a breakthrough, for them to then do further work with me. But understanding that you are creating your life, right? You are the deliberate creator. You can either create deliberately or you create by default, which is what you have been doing, until now. And now we realize, hold, did you realize that just what you just said to me, you are actually manifesting this? With those words that you are saying, because words are powerful.
The shifting?
Yeah, the shifting. When you are talking, when the words you are thinking and then the words you are speaking, that is how you are creating, right?
Yeah.
So the sentence is, you just said this. And the other thing is that, it's the vibration and energy. It's everything is energy. And when I'm creating shifts, it's not like I'm physically doing something. And yet, I have shifted your vibration. Like one of the things that I say I'm powerful at is shifting people's vibrations. And once we shift your vibration, then the results you get are going to change too, right?
Yeah.
So depending on where you are, we create that awareness first, and then I start putting in little habits that they can incorporate into their lives to support that, because it's a daily practice. You know, it's not like I do this today, I'm here with you today, and then I'm done. I've created the shift and I can go. No. You need to sustain that, because otherwise you just break down again, right? Yeah, you lose it. So wealth consciousness or abundance consciousness is a daily practice.
So do you find eventually it's automatic? You start off consciously saying, I'm going to do this.
Exactly. And then it becomes part of you.
And you don't really think about it.
You don't think about it. It just is. Exactly. It's like, it's just part of you, right? Like you brush your teeth and you do your hair, it just is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then at that stage you introduce a second set of habits.
Depending on where they are, I might introduce like several together or just one. Like I tune in into each person, and I know exactly when I'm with them, and that's why like I love doing one-to-one work, because that is where I create the most transformation. I do workshops as well, but one-to-one is when I can focus on the person and know exactly this is what they need right now. Right? Like I can take out the pieces and say this and this. If you don't put this into place now, then we won't get the results you're looking for. So depending on where they are, I will introduce one or more changes.
What's the number one block that you see
in people
off the bat? Yeah.
When it comes to abundance consciousness, is not realizing how your thoughts are creating your reality.
So the awareness isn't there.
The awareness isn't there. Yeah.
Now, if you had somebody that said, I've tried it, and I've tried it, and I've tried it.
Tried the awareness piece?
I'm assuming that they're aware something's wrong, but they haven't
realized the connection.
Okay.
And even reading books and attending seminars hasn't given them that realization. Right?
Okay.
And it's when we are talking, when I can exactly point out here, where they go like, oh my God, wow, right? Like, yes, I get it. Like, I get that a lot, like, wow. You know, I work with people who have like highly trained PhDs, you know, in doing leadership work, you know, like, and even they, you know, when I'm talking to them, go like, oh my God, I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is like very fulfilling, right? To be able to zoom in like that, you know, laser and say, here are the points that.
And 40 years of trying comes through in a second.
Yes.
What was going on?
It's like, yeah, it's a light bulb moment, right? Yeah, exactly.
So I guess what would be the next thing? So let's say they've realized that they're doing something.
Yeah.
There are the habits, but is there another stage of thinking that has to happen?
Yes, so we look at the blueprint, right? Because it's your blueprint that is ingrained and programmed like in your neural pathways, right? That is so deeply ingrained, and for you to come to another realization is that you need to go back, right? And have a look at all this programming. And so we go back and we look, and there's a section that I do as a money breakthrough coach called Healing Your Family's Money Legacy. Okay? So I go through your whole thing, and it could be family as well as community and your tribe and your environment, right? Which it's usually the whole thing, but the family is a big piece. That is where you have your deepest programming. Exactly. Yeah. And so we look at all of that, and then we create a new legacy. We understand where, and forgiveness, by the way, is another piece of the work where we need, you know, without us realizing, we actually are holding a lot of resentment, you know, towards what has been given to us. And then we work and clear all of that. We understand this is the programming, because if you can't go where you want to go if you don't know where you are right now. And right now you are a product of your, you know, childhood. right?
Yeah.
So we go through all of that and we figure out a new legacy and do forgiveness work, and then from there we have a foundation to build on. Because I say the you can only rise as high as the depth of your foundation. So if that foundation isn't put in place, everything I do is not going to hold. So that is an important part that we...
Well, I have an engineering degree and actually saw that.
Yes.
If you look at a building, the higher it is, the deeper they dig.
Exactly.
It literally is like that.
Yes. That was like a...
So there's a visual that actually...
does make...
And if you look at a city, just the building of a city, the farther up they build the buildings, the more further down they put all the utilities and everything, so it literally does
powerful.
work. Yeah.
It's very powerful. Yes. So for me, that foundation, laying the foundation is absolutely necessary when I'm working with a client, right? Because otherwise you're wasting our time.
So the forgiveness work now.
Yeah.
So give me an example of what's done for that.
Oh, how we do the forgiveness piece. So we find out the pieces that have contributed to where you are today, and then some of it can be so how shall I say, traumatic, that people aren't ready right away to get into forgiveness. So we need to work a bit longer on that and helping to understand and clear, because see, forgiveness, if you can't forgive, then you are holding yourself hostage to your program, right? So we that understanding and realization, and then working on the forgiveness. With some it's quick, with some it takes a bit longer, but there is a process that I have in my new program called the 21-day adventure to transform your wealth consciousness, and Ho'oponopono. I don't know if you have heard about that.
Yeah.
Joe Vitale made it quite kind of popular, but it's an old Hawaiian technique, forgiveness technique for self-healing, right? Because this is not just in terms of money and wealth, and wealth, but also in terms of everything in life. That on a daily basis, we might just fight with somebody. Somebody might say something that hurts us, and without realizing, we kind of hold on to those feelings. And so again, forgiveness, as I say, is a daily practice. Somebody might just, you might be working on a joint venture with a partner, collaborating, and, things don't go well, whatever, and then you have disharmony, and it kind of stays in your vibration, in your energy field, and it impacts your well-being. It impacts your feeling good space, right? Because you have that static in the energy field. So an awareness of that helps you realize immediately, I'm not feeling good. Okay. Yeah. And then why? It's because I had this and this interaction, and I'm holding on to it. And so let's forgive. Right. I found with myself. So there was a time when didn't understand any of this. Yes. Didn't read any of this. Yeah. Just going on with the program. I call it the program now because. Yes, it is the program.
That's the easiest way for me to understand.
Or the blueprint, is it?
And the feeling wasn't there either.
Yeah.
It was there, but it was so static.
Yes.
It was low and static. And if something gets pushed down so far, you can keep pounding on it, but it won't move because it's down so far. But as stuff started to clear out, the sensitivity began to go up.
Yeah.
And from now till 30 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the impact is much different. It could be a tiny, tiny thing, but the feeling is much more intense.
Yeah.
Because now I can see it.
Yeah, you're living life at a higher voltage, right?
It feels like that,
Exactly. You're alive. You're you can feel the passion flowing again. You enjoy. Life is just so much more sweeter and joyful when you...
So would you say this is how it's supposed to happen? As you...
Absolutely, that's the idea, taking you into that feel-good space, right? Yes, because, I say life is wonderful. With all its challenges, life is incredible. It's a joy to be alive, and the universe just is an abundant place and just wants to give it to you. So let's like do the clearing. And see, with the law of attraction, it's what we say, you ask. You know, the 3 steps for getting what you want is that you ask, and you believe, and then you receive. So what happens is that people do ask, I want more money, I want more money, I want more money, right? Mm-hmm. But the inner conflict, they're not really believing it. So it can't happen. They can't receive. And that is where my work is. You know, you are asking, you've been asking like for 10 years for more money, mm-hmm. right? So let's help you clear that that programming, that, you know, create another blueprint, create another legacy, and help you receive, open up to receiving. Mm. And that actually sounds really like simple, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've encountered that.
Yeah.
Would you say that, is it experience that makes that blueprint? Do you have to experience it before your mind believes that?
Does, like my client, for example, have to experience
like
it?
Just a general person, yeah.
Yeah, have to experience that.
So say somebody believes
money is bad, or money is hard work, or money is struggle.
Let's say money is bad.
Yeah.
And that's been told to them since whenever.
Yes.
And then they find, oh, I believe that money is bad.
So that is what I'm creating.
So now I want to change it.
Yes.
But the subconscious says, I'm still saying money is bad, so
yes.
I'm not changing anything.
Exactly. So I'm saying I want money, but my subconscious is money is bad. So it's not going to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that person now have to
do the inner work?
Have an experience where money isn't bad,
yes.
money was good.
Yeah.
So their brain can say, oh, money actually is good.
Money is very good.
Is that where the foundation's built? Is that how it's done?
How it's done, exactly. But also going back and doing that inner work on really understanding where you come from, right? Where you come from, where you are, and where you want to go, and how big is the gap, right? Like I know that, you know, people, I have that, you know, people who are like really struggling and envision to be millionaires. Like it's not going to happen, right? So it's like, let's put you into a space where you really can open up to that, and it can happen. But let's do this foundation piece first, right? So
well, I've done studies on it. Well, actually, I've read other people's studies on, say, the millionaire.
Yeah.
Well, here's a common thing people do. They buy a lottery ticket.
Yes, I wanted to talk about that.
And there's nothing wrong with buying a lottery ticket.
Yes.
It's the mindset.
Yeah.
They say, well, if I have this and I win $1 million, I'll be free.
I hear it all the time.
And I said, well, the odds are nil, so I didn't bother. But now there's another awareness that says, even if you win,
you lose it.
You won't know what to do because you're not ready for it.
Yeah, or you will, like, you know, you'll buy a home, I don't know, you'll do this, whatever you do with the money, but it's gone, right? It's gone. Like nobody is able to sustain that. Nobody. So. And
the studies that I referred to looked at people who won sums of money. Most of them were broke.
Yes.
Most of them went
and the
into
people
welfare.
who go to buy lottery tickets are actually people who are struggling. So they are at that vibration. You know, people who have money don't usually go. Like I never buy a lottery ticket. Like I'll just, you know, be your own lottery ticket, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is, be your own. So
what you're saying fits with. And you know, I come from the finance field, and a lot of people want to become traders.
Yes.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Because they hear that trading makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they try to buy this long shot mining company or what have you that could go up 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And they'll be millionaires.
Yeah.
Again, the same people.
Yeah.
Let's say they hit that stock, they get 1,000 times, they become millionaires. Then they become flagrant.
Yes, exactly.
And they start gambling, drinking, buying.
I've seen that.
And then they end up broke as well after 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And they end up worse than where they started.
Correct.
Which nobody really
understands.
Talks about that.
Yeah.
But from the field I've heard, there are people that were deemed as successful traders, but they were kind of a mess
Yeah,
emotionally, psychologically,
exactly.
because they weren't ready for that payoff that they got. And sometimes they've gone bankrupt several times.
Yes.
Like Donald Trump was, said to have gone bankrupt many times.
He did, but he had a rich blueprint. So he was able to recover.
Came back.
Yeah. And he came back even better than before because he had that blueprint. But if you don't, then you can't recover.
Doesn't turn out.
Yeah.
So.
And the other thing that also can happen is that people get the money and then they get so afraid that they'll hang on to it. So they'll put it and invest it and will not. Their life is still being lived at a poverty consciousness. So they're not really enjoying it. They're just holding on to it out of fear, right?
Yeah.
So, they're still going to cheap stores, still buying cheap stuff, still living life at that level. So there's the feel-good space isn't there. The money is in the bank.
Yeah.
Okay?
And that's the
Seen
misers
that,
and the business people who...
Yes.
who
And
stay
looking for
there.
the cheap stuff and discounting and bartering and, and the language. So the other thing that I have in my 21-day program is speak the language. Talk about plenty, talk about increase, talk about infinite, talk about abundance, right? Talk the language of abundance. Talk good, joy, love, gratitude, and instead it's it's hard, it's, struggle, it's too expensive. Oh my God, times are really bad. Times aren't bad. It's up to you, right? What you make out of any time. So
we'll take a break now for a few minutes, and we'll be back. We'll continue on this conversation. We're back on the Cube Talk Show with Fatma Zaidi, and we're talking about abundance. Now, you mentioned gratitude and forgiveness.
yes,
What else would you add to that list of
affirmations.
what's needed? Affirmations, okay.
Yeah.
How do you do those so that
Affirmations or mantras, you have heard the word mantras,
Yeah.
right? Mantras comes from the Sanskrit and means tool of the mind. So
Okay.
you want to give the mind something to work with to reprogram the language that's you have in your neural pathways, right? So affirmations are great. I mean, there are many people who say that they don't work, but then when I'm working with people, we actually choose affirmations that once we have done the work that exactly are fitted to your vibration. So the ones that we know that when you are using them, you are really already starting to create shift and forward movement to where you want to go. So affirmations are tools of the mind and definitely a powerful resource for people. Like today's email in the 21-day adventure actually has a poster I made of affirmations that people can stick in their environment, and then just keep on saying that stuff. Keep on knowing that you are powerful. It's up to you, and this is an easy way for you to do that, right? So for example, and you know what the thing is, even us who are like me, who are aware, there will be moments where something will kind of put you into that space of, oh my God, what's happening, right? We do come across challenges or hurdles, and at that time we deep breath, stop, affirmation, right away I will affirm something positive. And I'm able to turn that around. So I'm able to get from a space of what happened, into, okay, there is a way, there is a solution, and it will happen. And it does happen, right? And affirmations are excellent for that. Right away, I have ones that I've just memorized, and I will access them when I hit such a point. So definitely affirmations are big.
And I'm assuming that as you do that, your mind will change.
Yes, your mind will change, and your mind will see what's possible, right? Because people only see what's not possible or what's not working, and what you focus on expands. So if you're focusing on what's not working, oh my God, you're just going to a downward spiral. You create more problems and challenges, and things get really bad, can get really bad, right? Whereas at that point, if you realize, okay, yes, I am dealing with a challenge, this is a hurdle, but it's possible. So the affirmation just helps you put you back into that field of possibilities and solutions. And, your mind just does a switch, and right away you start seeing solutions. And what you focus on expands again. So now you're focusing on what you want. You're focusing on the solution. So, of course, a solution will come up. Right? So that's the idea with using affirmations, that you're actually giving your mind the words. Here, use this, say this, right? And get yourself into that space again. Because your mind automatically, so it's the fear response. So we are programmed, through our evolution, through humanity's evolution, we are programmed for that fear and flight response. So when we encounter something, the right thing will be like run or be paralyzed, right? And you get into that fear space, and you can't think, like the blood flow stops to your brain, right? Yeah. So at that moment, if you have practiced and you have put this into place, and that's why I say you need to put certain structures into place, right, for you to support you on your path of wealth consciousness, abundance consciousness. So at that moment, you realize, and you go like, even though you're like, oh my God, you're like, here, affirmation, right? Like get that first, like get that brain saying something else, and then, okay, now you're like, breathe, sigh of relief. Okay, this is what we're going to do, right? This is how we're going to target this. It's powerful. This stuff is powerful. Yes.
It's literally like the programmer.
Yeah. And it's fuel, right? It's fuel for your rocket, to launch. We call it launching your rocket of desire. So this is fuel.
Yeah.
And you need, the more you know what can fuel that, right, the more you can live your dream, really, right? Because we all have desires, because that's just part of how the universe expands. And your desires need money to fund your dream, right? And so let's get into that space and put those pieces into place that will fuel your dream. And your dream is here to help humanity. Your dream is here to help so many people. Whatever gift you're born with, it's to bring joy to people. So when you realize that, you realize this is not about you. All this work is not about you. It's about co-creating with humanity. Good. It's for the highest good of all. And that when you become that vessel of joy, you contribute that, right? Instead of, more
the opposite.
Of the opposite. Yeah. Like you become part of the solution, right?
So that's what that expression means?
Yeah.
Part of the solution instead of part of the problem?
Exactly.
Because when I heard that a while back, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean I'm part of the problem? I'm trying to fix it.
Yes.
But the trying to fix it doesn't go
You're creating more of the problem.
Because you're focusing
that's your attention.
On the problem instead.
Your attention, yeah. Because what happens with many people I see is that, so you don't have money. And the first thing what you'll do is you'll withhold. You'll like not buy this and not get that and not. So you're creating more of poverty consciousness, of not having. So the idea, one of the things that I suggest in here is like give away $1 every day. Like start small, give away $1 every day. Regardless of where you are, you can manage $1. If you can like do a quarter, like do something and know that it's there. And when you do, the universe will start working with that energy. And synchronicities happen, events, opportunities, ideas, and something starts shifting. And you realize, like, my goodness, look at the magic that can happen when you are in that space, right? So, being part of the problem. You're too focused. So, or otherwise they'll do an anti-war rally, but you're still focused on war. Yeah. Why don't you do a pro-peace rally, right? Like, putting your mind towards the positive. And people are like, oh my God, the government isn't letting us have our supplements, and so whatever, let's do the petition for this or whatever. Stop. Like, focus on what you want. What is it you really want? You want, freedom to get whatever supplements you're wanting, you want the best stuff being available to you, well, then affirm that. Affirm your best life. Put your attention towards what you want.
So people, I know I've done this too, people think that
I've done a lot of things too.
anti-war is the same as pro-peace.
It's not.
But it isn't.
It isn't. It's the energy, the vibration. This is still war vibration. And being
Yeah.
peace, and when you see, this is against, this is anti,
Yeah.
right? This is for life. And just when you think of pro-peace, like your heart softens, right? Like you are thinking kindness, you are thinking love, you are thinking of non-violence. You know, like Gandhi, he's a big inspiration to me. So you see how Gandhi changed the world. And he's an inspiration to so many of today's leaders, right? And the idea is you can create change through love. So let's do that. And it's the same thing with money. Money is energy. Let's give it the energy of love. And let's put this out there for the entire world. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the affirmations, what?
Oh, actually,
would you
before
add to
the
that?
affirmations, it was creating sacred space.
Okay.
Right? So that's kind of your, again, you know, the same thing about laying the foundation is that we take away the clutter. And the clutter is like your home, your relationships, your work. Like we look at many different areas, your money, your mindset, your body, right? Toxic food that you eat, cigarettes, alcohol, junk food. You know, like we use all of these things to numb down our pain. So we look at all of these different areas and we start creating sacred space. Because nothing can come in until there is space. Like life will give you a lot of good if you have space for it. You know, and that is what happens when you are trying to help people without doing all of this work, and you're trying to give them a lot of good, and they're not able, same with the lottery thing, right? They're not able to hold that because they don't have the space for it. So again, that is a really powerful concept, is let's create the space, because life will start flowing in all the good stuff once we have done that. So, you know, with relationships.
So it's the bottle of water. Well, this bottle has water, but if there's an empty bottle,
Yeah.
it's there to hold the water.
Exactly.
But if you don't have the bottle,
You don't have
it
the
spills on
bottle,
the floor,
exactly.
You'll never have the water.
Exactly. I don't know if you know, if you've heard or listened to Bruce Lee's really wisdom on water, you know, saying you are water. Like you can shape yourself, you know, water will shape itself to whatever container you put it into,
Yeah.
right? A thimble or a teacup or the tub, whatever container, water will take that shape, and you are water. Be water. He has this thing at the end, you know, I can't say it the way he says, but he's like, be water, my friend. You know, like
Yeah.
be able
I've,
to shape shift.
I've heard that in
Yeah.
martial arts, they say that.
It's
Well,
amazing.
he does martial arts,
Exactly.
but they say to flow like water.
Yes.
And to, well, I guess it's same idea.
And I like the words that you say, flow, is that, see, when you're not feeling good, you're in resistance. And when you're resisting, you create more. What you resist persists.
Yeah.
You create more of what you're
don't
resisting,
want.
what you don't
Yeah.
want. And that's when you go like, but I have been doing everything. How come I still have the same stuff going on, right? Like I have read books and done this and whatever. Nothing's working. So it's like the idea again with this work is to get into the flow, right? Because when you are flowing, that is how abundance circulates, right? That is
Yeah.
how the energy in the world, in the universe circulates. And the word effluence comes from the Latin word, you know, flow,
Yeah.
right?
Affluent,
Yeah.
I think the people that say I'm doing this and I'm doing that, there's an obsession with doing things,
You are right.
and the mind which is driving the doing things hasn't changed.
Yeah, and it's the being. You have to be before,
You can do.
yeah. So it's, you know, you have to, the energy comes before the action. So people get into action, they work 2 jobs, right?
Yeah.
They work really hard, and yet they don't prosper, right? And so they reach retirement, and they've worked so hard, and they reach retirement, and they still have got nothing to show for it. because the being, the energy of abundance wasn't put into place. So the being, that energy has to be worked on first. Once that is understood, the attitude, the consciousness is a mindset, right? It's an energy. It doesn't involve the action. First you get that piece, understand that, and then you, what we call, take inspired action, which is very different from your regular action.
Just every action.
Yeah, because inspired is spirit-led, right?
So, do you ever get people, so after, say they've heard this and
Yes.
they'll come to you and say, okay, but they don't really believe it.
They don't believe it.
Like even after all the explaining and saying, yeah, you know, the consciousness and this and that and the other, but they don't really.
They don't believe
can
me, or they don't believe they can do it, or what do they not believe?
Well, maybe they don't believe in themselves that they can do it.
Okay, that is there definitely, right? That they don't believe in themselves. Like, how is it even possible, right?
So, well, I'm sure everybody's had this question. Anyone who's done this or worked on themselves or whatever.
Yeah.
What's, is there something you can say to them that would
Help them.
allow them to see more?
Yeah. Well, I find
Or
that.
does it depend on the person? Because it's
No,
different.
I find that when I have a conversation, just give me one conversation with a person, and I can help them understand, right? Because I myself come from a place of certainty in terms of what I do, so people can already feel that. You see, when you are uncertain yourself, that comes across, and when you're certain about what you do and the transformation it can create, people can feel that. The thing, though, is that the ones who do go ahead and do it are the ones who have said yes to themselves, and the ones who don't are the ones who aren't ready for that kind of work. Right?
So that means
So that means the
it's
ones
not
who
their
say
time
yes
yet,
to working
or-
with me, they haven't said yes to it. They aren't ready. Right? So sometimes what happens is that, just in what I have seen in my own work, is that they will take that and step back, and then they'll keep on watching what I'm doing. And then when they're ready, they'll step in again. Right?
Yeah.
When they look at, they've kind of grasped, they've done, maybe seen a workshop, they've seen my emails, they have heard people go like, oh my God, wow, right? And then they go like, I want some of that too. Right? So they come back.
Okay.
So they might not be ready at that point, they just need some more.
But they come when they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I've,
ultimately, whoever does and will implement what I'm, even just the simple stuff, and start implementing it, will start seeing breakthroughs, right? And so we definitely have even client in leadership position who have very set rules, right? This is how they have learned it at school. This is how they have practiced it at work. And it's, they totally believe that's the only way to be and do. And then I do the work with them. And I am like, regardless of who I'm working with, I'll tell it like it is. Whatever I see and pick up is, I'll say, here. And people in leadership position, that's like unusual for them to be spoken to, in that way. And they'll go like, it like upsets them, right?
They're in shock.
But then, see, I'm here to create transformation. And then they go like, you know what, I'm so glad you did, actually. Because although it is kind of, I don't like what you're telling me, I sat with it, and I'll do what you say. And we get the breakthrough, right? So it's, as I'm saying, regardless of what your education is, that you are at that point of despair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When people have hit bottom, as they say, or they have nothing to lose.
Yes.
Those are the expressions that.
So I'll have let me give you an example of, I'm thinking of a client. Yeah, relationship. So I wanted to say, I had this client, leadership position, doing extremely well financially, but totally a loser in the relationship department. Could not sustain. I mean, gorgeous woman, could not sustain relationships, and So that was how wealth consciousness, you have this, but you don't have that. So you're not, like, you don't feel full. You don't feel like I have this, but I don't have what really matters to me, right? And then how we are able to help and open up an abundance consciousness when it comes to relationships, right? Like your analytic mind has gotten the money piece, and you have that in place, but you're not really enjoying it because this is not there. So that's wealth consciousness, is having a life across the board
Everywhere.
that
Yeah.
nurtures you.
It's the same process for each part, right?
Yes,
Just
exactly.
a different focus.
Yeah,
Is
different
that-
focus and understanding. And as I'm saying, it sounds simple, but it's a lot of work. Like this takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
But
lot
if
of-
you're, if
yeah.
people are willing to invest in themselves, we change lives. So,
we have maybe 5 minutes left.
okay.
If you want to summarize in a few minutes, and then I'll ask for contact information.
Okay. Summarize wealth consciousness.
Summarize the message
The
of the
message.
last hour,
The message
if
is.
that's possible.
The message is anybody can do this if they only say yes to themselves. That is the first step. Like, say yes. It's, it's a very scary, any time that growth happens, it happens out of your comfort zone, right? And so people will choose to stay in the comfort zone. And so you have to say yes to stepping out of that comfort zone for you to experience the joy that you're looking for. There is this TEDx talk, I don't know if you have heard it, Brené Brown, The Price of Vulnerability, right? Is that you have to be vulnerable. For you to really access joy, you have to be vulnerable. And if you shut that down and you stay in that comfort zone and try to avoid, having to look at that and being in that place, it's like the foundation of courage, creativity, joy, opening. You have to go into that place. So you have to say yes to doing that work, right? Like when we are coaching, it's a very tender place to be. It is like deep work that you have to be open to go to. Like you have to be willing to go to that place and do all of this, look at all of this, shine a light on the darkness. And when you do, that's when you can access that joy that is available to you. And really, as we say, the purpose of life is joy. And then all the rest starts happening, because the universe will just bring it to you.
So, if people want to contact you or
Yes.
sign up for the workshop, where
My website,
where would they go?
my website is Fatma Zaidi. Do you want me to spell that?
Yeah.
F like fire, A, T for Tom, M like Mary, A for apple, and then my last name, Z, A, I, D for Dora, I, fatmazaidi.com. So they can sign up to be on my
fatmazaidi.com. Okay.
to be on my list, and so they get information. The 21-day adventure is going on right now, but I think by the time this is broadcast, we should be at the end. But if they are on my list, then they can hear they'll get information on what's next and what's happening.
So that repeats every so often,
I haven't yet
21 day?
decided where to go with it,
Okay.
but it is definitely has incredible potential in terms of understanding wealth consciousness. So, but then, as I said, they'll find out when they're on my list as to what I'm planning to do with it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Joe.
Thanks for coming on. So
Welcome.
that's our show for today, the Cube Talk Show. And to contact me, my email is joelyinvestor.today@gmail.com. And this show will be broadcast on YouTube and on my website, www.joelyinvestor.ca, under the In the Media tab. And thanks for watching, and have a good evening.